Oftentimes for us, wearing the cape turns into a hospital gown. You know, we're out here saving everybody.
Welcome to the Good, Better, Betterness podcast. We're your hosts and co-founders of WellRise, Denise and Kayla. The Good, Better, Betterness podcast is a monthly chat with and for Black women about what self-care is and how you can make it an intentional part of every single day. Take a seat, take a breath, and explore how deep and radical self-care can transform your life.
Welcome to the Good, Better, Betterness podcast, where we are all about self-care and making sure it's an intentional part of your everyday life. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Denise. And today we're joined by Judge Amber Givens. And we're going to be talking about high pressure, high stress, high demand, high impact, high productivity, all of the things that come with roles that are really high visibility roles. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being you because, listen, you showed up today, glamorous.
For y'all, anything for y'all.
On a whatever today morning is. Yes, thank you for joining us on the Good, Better, Betterness podcast. Kayla?
Yeah, so we're going to be, as Denise said, talking about all the things. We know Black girls are always dealing with all the things when it comes to visibility, especially if you're climbing the corporate ladder, whatever ladder you're climbing, or just trying to make sure to achieve. And so I'm excited about this conversation. I want to try to talk about a little bit of what Judge Amber does. I call her Judge Amber, Judge Givens. The honorable, how are we supposed to tell?
That's so funny because, you know, I say a lot that I always introduce myself as Amber Givens because in saying, like, how do you manage with a high profile, high pressure type job, I will never allow my position to be my identity, right? And so I'm in the public, I'll say, hey, I'm Amber. And they're like, wait a minute now. I think I recognize her from somewhere. I'm like, yeah, but get to know me as the person, you know? So,
okay.
Yeah.
We gonna call you Amber.
Yes, call me Amber or AG, whatever, you know.
Oh, come on now. I guess it has a little KG, AG.
Uh-oh.
I like it with my
DG.
Gotta tell my street cred, you know? AG.
Don't play with my reputation.
Kayla's street cred comes from Carlsbad, California.
Okay, really? This is what we're doing?
That's funny.
Shout out to Seabed, San Diego, Seabed.
Look,
I knew
STL, you know, so it's for real.
I'm repping the Bay, California.
I feel like we're all like gang. Like, what is happening right now?
I mean, you start throwing out, you know,
I did
initials and things like that. So
I did.
You started it. Well, actually, Amber.
Yes, Amber did start it.
The original AG.
And I'm here for.
I like it.
I love
Notorious
it too.
AG is one of my
Notorious
interns
AG.
used to call me.
Okay.
He bought me a
Notorious.
hanger for a going away gift, and it said Notorious AG on
Love
it.
it.
And he bought me a collar for my robe. And I was like, you know, I'll never forget you.
Yep, at all. Every time you put that collar on.
Yeah.
That is so funny. Notorious AG. So Notorious AG is a dedicated public servant who currently presides over the 282nd District Judicial?
Judicial District Court.
Yes. So Judge Givens, or AG, or Notorious AG, is a dedicated public servant who currently presides over the 282nd Judicial District Court in Dallas County, Texas. She brings a wealth of experience and wisdom, of course, to the table, and we just can't wait to pick your brain, talk about all the things,
I'm looking
and
forward to it.
chill, because that's what we do here.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, let's do an icebreaker first.
Okay.
And Denise, you're going to answer this, and I'm going to answer it, but after AG answers it.
Oh, okay.
She said, wait, let me make sure. Okay, so it's basically this little segment we call Put That Ish On.
Okay.
And it's all about what you love putting on your body, right?
Okay.
Or your, whatever.
Okay.
It's all about the product, how it makes you feel, right? Like all those things. Because, the girls love to buy the things,
Yes.
especially for beauty. So what is one product you just simply can't live without?
Man, I don't even know the brand.
Oh.
But it's an organic sweet almond body oil. Oh. When I tell you, yes. Ooh. When I tell you my skin is like, thank you. Thank you, Amber. It's like it might be thirsty, and then it feels just all like put together when I rub it on. It's just that's one of my faves.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell us because I need this, and
I will have to tell you.
Does it come in a big bottle?
It comes in a bottle about this big. I wish they had a travel size, but it's like this big and is amazing.
It's not Neutrogena.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not a brand it's like. I can't even think about.
Okay, when you do, we'll have to get that.
I will DM
that
you.
Sounds
Yes,
amazing.
we will get that link because it sounds amazing, and I want to visit
it does
right now.
All right,
Can I
your
get
turn.
Right now, my fave is actually Melodor. It's a sunscreen by a black-owned, woman-owned company, and it was in our summer. Wait, this is not.
This is not fair.
Come on, props.
This was my choice.
Well, we did not talk about this.
We
before,
didn't. I had it here ready to be like, boom, I actually have
You
it.
see how she set herself up, had her product ready?
Yes.
And didn't
She has
even
the
give
props.
me the
I
hint
did
that
you
I
know
was
the
going to
heads
have
up.
to answer.
You didn't bring your Melodor? I don't know.
It's in my bag.
Well, you didn't bring it over here.
You're right. But anyhow, Melodor. Melodor is my favorite. It is similar to what you were just saying. It is a sunscreen made by black women.
SPF 30.
It's SPF 30, but it like goes on sheer. It
I'm
just
wearing it
has
right
a very soft, like, it's full body, so you could use it on your face. You could use it on all over your body.
Everywhere.
And I absolutely love it. Clearly, Caleb loves it too.
Clearly.
And I love it
That is
for
the
the
current
same
product
reason.
that I love. I
It is.
absolutely love it.
But I feel
it's-
like you can't pick that now, though.
No, she can't.
What?
Thank you for
Nope.
product demoing my favorite.
Right. You
That's
have
what
to think of
happens.
something
I did all
else.
that work
All that
for
work
you.
for
That's what
nothing.
happens. It's okay.
I like the spot on.
I cannot right now. Okay. I mean, I'm a product junkie in the sense, right? As a like past natural hair blogger, so I got all the products. But a body product I'm loving is actually from a company named Lush. Y'all might know.
yeah,
Lush
I
is in
know
the
Lush.
Yes.
y'all. It's called, I think it's called Bumble or Scrubby. It's called Scrubby. It looks like a bee. And it's an exfoliant, but it also has like this shea butter. So it's basically a shower oil. You get in the shower, the water starts like kind of breaking it up a little bit, and you start putting it on. I cannot tell you the smell. It has sweet almond oil in it, but it also has like actual honey and all of these different things that just, when I put that on, listen, put that ish on, okay? Because once it dissolves down to like the little, I'm like, no, I was doing this in the shower the other day.
I definitely have like a dime size Lush something.
Yes.
I don't even know what it is
Like,
anymore.
I don't
Like,
know. Do I want to
love
use it? Because then it's gonna be gone, right? Like,
Love it.
Lush is
Lush
amazing.
has everything.
I do. I love it. So yes, that's my choice for put that ish
Absolutely.
on. Thanks for playing with us. Hilarious. What's the first question?
Okay. So I know that we just talked about your names, right? You're like, everybody knows me as the judge. And so that's kind of like the public perception and persona of who you are, right? We're gonna tip into that a little bit, and then we will definitely get behind the robe, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
with the conversation earlier. So just to give people an idea of certain jobs and certain roles, just people don't really know, right? They don't really know, like, what does that job actually entail? Just so that we understand, like, this is what you're dealing with on a daily basis. Can you just walk us through, like, what does the daily life look like for a judge? And then you can kind of go into, like, the real of...
So I would say no day looks the same. But I think what a lot of people don't know is that it depends on the state you're in. So in Texas, you're elected, right? So you're also this politician, right? So you're a politician, and I'm going to separate the two right now. You're a politician and you're a public servant.
Okay.
Because a lot of people are public servants, but they're not elected, right? And so you're elected, and in my position, it's a 4-year term, so you're running every 2 years, right? So it feels like you're always running for office. But beyond the whole public office deal, the everyday is everything. I preside over everything from enhanced theft to capital murder cases. And so on any given day, you know, I'm seeing people, sometimes I marry people as well. So sometimes I'm seeing people at their best and they're so hopeful. And then sometimes I'm seeing people at their absolute worst. Right. And so it's a range of emotions. And it's a lot of responsibility. I've learned how how to carry the responsibility in a certain way. You can either carry it or let it carry you. And so I've decided I'm going to carry it, because then I get to decide when to put it down. Right. And how heavy I'm going to allow it to be. And so, yeah, it's everything from trials, which I absolutely love. I love having people from the community come in and essentially tell you what they think of the criminal justice system. And we can talk about why we call it the criminal justice system later. But the idea that fresh eyes, right? What do they think about it? Because they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you if the state proved their case. They're going to tell you what they think about the law. And I think that, to me, is just one of the best experiences being on the bench, is watching people from the community come in and give us that feedback.
That's a very humanity-centric view of it, is what, because I think that when you think of a judge, right, you kind of just think like this person has a gavel, they're at work, right? When you think people at work, they tend to kind of go into commonplace, right? And you're like, I show up to work, I do this the same way. How do you understand and maintain that certain level of like, these are humans' lives that I'm dealing with, to make sure that you actually show up in the way that you need to not allow yourself to kind of just be like, this is a job, right? And understanding some of the complexity that you kind of just shared with us.
It's funny that you asked me that question, because I was on the phone with a GoDaddy representative yesterday, and I was purchasing a domain, and he was like, oh, wow, you're a judge, so I bet you it's like robotic, huh? And I said, actually, for me, it's not. And I think it's the purpose behind the service, right? So for me, I'll never forget being the family member. And so that's why, to me, it's all about people, because I've been a family member in the courtroom, completely, just in awe of how the system works, and not in a positive way. And so I'll never forget that I'm managing people's lives and their safety and all that every day. And that's why. It's because of my personal experience.
Absolutely.
That's powerful to be able to pull from that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to share a little bit about like your personal experience that was like, I'm going to be a judge.
So God has a sense of humor, because that was never the plan. But I decided to go to law school because of my brother, who had gotten arrested, never been in trouble before. And I mean, first time out of the gate, went to prison. And so I was 8 at the time, and just like, wow, why does the system work this way? Can somebody explain it to me? I was asking all the questions. And so ended up going to Tuskegee, and one of my professors says that the law was created to keep you as chattel. And I thought, wow, that's deep. He's like, so then you have to master it. So I was like, wow, so I have to go to law school to master it, right?
Wow.
And then after law school, got a job as a prosecutor, and thought my brother would hate me because of his experience with the system. And he was the one that encouraged me, like, absolutely not. You go take that ADA position. Why? Because that's where all the power is. People think being a defense attorney, which no shade to defense attorneys, but they don't have any power. The most powerful person in a courtroom is not the judge, it's the prosecutor. They decide what to present to the grand jury. They decide what offers to make, if any. And so that's where the discretion all lies. And so when I looked at it in that lens, I said, he's correct. I should definitely go. But I thought, one, being Black, people would hate me. You're going to be a DA, really? 2, my brother. But when I think about it now, I'm like, wow, I'm glad that I had the conversation with him, because I was initially afraid to do so. And he was the one that encouraged me to be a prosecutor. And then, boy, I did it for 10 years, and God definitely had a sense of humor. And when the opportunity to run for office came up for me, I was like, gosh, God, somebody should do that. Like, somebody should run for
like
that
great opportunity.
particular bench. Somebody should do that, right? And God was like, it's you. And I was like, nope, I am comfortable in my spot at the DA's office. I'm having a good time. I was, working under Mr. Watkins, first elected Black DA in Texas, and truly felt from the top to the bottom that they wanted to do justice, not convict people. It's like, whatever is right. And so I was like, why would I want to leave this space? And then God was like, you know how he gets louder and louder. So he'll start talking to you like we're talking. And then when you're disobedient, he gets louder, and the volume. One day he was talking to me, I was like,
excuse you?
Does anybody else hear that? And I was like, okay, God. And he just made everything fall in line for me.
Wow.
I had $0 saved. I'm not from Dallas. I've only been here for a year, you know, and I was running against an incumbent who had 25 G's in the bank day one. But when God gives you a purpose and there's a position that he's carved out for you, there's nothing or no one that can keep you from it.
Nope. Period. Yes. I'm over here like, yes. Again, friend of mine, guys. So I'm just so proud of you because you have been so obedient to your calling in a way that is so inspiring. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go to the next question. So in general, like breaking barriers and really coming up against opposition, right? You have come up against so much opposition.
Yes.
How have you really dealt with that in grace? Because I have seen it, right? And nobody knows so much of the things that you have had to go through. Even I don't, right? Like you have had to go through the things. Yeah. And so just talk about, you know, how you're able to handle that, handle it with grace and still take care of you, which, right, is the most important. Because this can break somebody down.
It could definitely. And that's where the purpose, I think, is key. Because if you show up without purpose, anything will break you or discourage you, right? Or take you off your path. And I think when you get into these roles, it's how do you want to show up, right? Are you just, you know, going to go along to get along? And if that's your thing, it'll be easy. Sis, if you have decided you're gonna get in a role and you're just like, I'm gonna be quiet and keep my head down, and I don't care if I leave this space better than what I found it, I'm just doing this for me, it's gonna be all good. There will be no pressure, right? But if you say, okay, God, you gave me this position and I'm gonna show up the way you want me to show up, it's like Noah when he was building that ark. Everybody was looking at him like, you lost your mind.
Completely.
Right? Rain, okay, right?
Blue
and we
skies,
doing what?
They're looking up like, huh?
Right. So it's like, you could have that Noah type faith, or you could just be basic. And it just be about you being in that position, right? But God never, ever called me to a task that would allow me to be basic, right? And so when I took the role, I said, I'm going to show up the way I would want, or the way I wanted judges to show up. For my brother, me as a former prosecutor, right? And a former defense attorney. And a lot of people don't know that. I was a defense attorney as well. So every role
you've seen,
I've seen it.
You've seen it. Been it.
Right. And then beyond that, I used to say I was the family member, the prosecutor, the defense attorney. Now I've been the accused, right? And so, you know, I decided in, you know, gosh, what was it, 2017? I said, dang on it, my seat is hot. It's like on fire. And I was like, you know, we could be cool with this or we could let this stress us out. I was like, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm in the fire, but I can withstand the heat because God is there with me, right? So I'm going to come out the fire. When you look in, you're going to see me, an angel, and some other folks, right? Because we like to refer to the Bible and it's all pretty, right? But when you look at the people that God chose in the Bible, they went through the most. Right? And then everyday Christians are like, girl, I wonder what she did. It's got to be something because she's going through a lot. Baby, open the Bible and I want you to have some real life applications.
These are not characters. They are people.
They're real people.
That actually live life the same way we're living it.
They are showing you this is how you do it because it's not going to always be easy. Right? And so I decided in 2017 when I hit the first roadblock that I guess it could have been a roadblock. But I was like, I can climb. Look, if you give me just a little, let me see a little crack, I'm going to stick my finger in it and then my foot, and then we're going to keep going, right?
I love it.
And so I said, if this is the way it has to be, I guess this is the way it's going to be. And the whole chair is on fire now. It's because, you know, showing up in an authentic way, right? And I think that's the key to the balance too. If you're lying to yourself, it's going to be so much heavier and so much more difficult to balance, right? Because you put a mask on every day, right? So in deciding to be authentic in 2020 after George Floyd's murder, you know, I saw attorneys on social media saying all these very offensive things. And I had colleagues who were like, oh my gosh, it's horrible, I'm going to unfriend them. And I thought, but how does that help the individuals they're going to represent, right? And so I created an anti-discrimination policy. And boy, what did I do that for? because I never thought it'd be bad to not be discriminatory to people, right? But when you hit people's pockets, it's a different story, right? So after that, I mean, I've been under fire with the, name a commission, name a law enforcement agency. They have subpoenaed my phone records. They've subpoenaed my Facebook records. They have done everything that they could do. They have called family and friends. They've done the things. But I will tell you this. God gave me, he comes to me in dreams. And I was reading something on Instagram the other day, like when you can't sleep, and it gave you like, here are the reasons why you can't sleep for biblical reasons. And one of them is God can speak to you in that space because it's quiet.
Yes.
And so in November of 2021, God came to me and he was like, you're going to win. I was like, okay, that's makes me feel good, but I'm seeing my face on the, I'm seeing my face on the news every day, God.
Definitely, right.
And he's like, you're going to win. I said, so if we're going to win, why do we have to do it this way?
Right.
Like, can we just win? Right? Why does it have to be like
Every
this?
time. It's like, why does it be like this?
And so he was like, no, you're going to win, but I'm not going to take the thorn out of your side. And I was like, but in my mind, I thought the battle or the journey he was talking about was the election. It wasn't.
Right.
It was the election. And then it was, oh, you know what? We've been calling you a criminal for like 3 years now, but you know what? You actually didn't do anything wrong. But those constitutional rights that you exercise, that you protect every day for other people, shame on you for exercising those. So like when the detectives wanted to talk to you, you should have waived your Fifth Amendment right and you should have gone to speak to them, because in not doing that, you're unprofessional. And by the way, we didn't have a search warrant for your phone, but you should have just voluntarily handed it over. Wow. That's so unprofessional of you to exercise those constitutional rights. So that was the second battle. And then the third battle, they want to report you to every commission they can report you to. So I say that all to say that I know God is working in this, because all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. And to remind myself, I had to get it tatted. Right. I think there's so much freedom in tattoos. Romans 8:28. I'm like, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Everything is going to work out for my good. Even if I don't like the way he is requiring me to go through it, everything's still going to work out.
Yep. We were just talking about on another episode, check the episode with Dr. Brianna Whiteside out, just almost the holiness of God, right? And just this transcendence and this omnipresence and this like all-knowingness. And we can't grasp that because we're human.
Yeah, right.
Right? And so it's often hard for us to think that all things can technically all truly work together for those, again, who are called and who love the Lord. And so it's just like, okay, sometimes you just got to have faith that is what it is. Even when you're like, there's no way this is going to be used for, my good.
Yes.
There's just no way.
Yeah. But it's like, those are the times. And one of my girlfriends who is in another high profile, high pressure position said this to me. In those moments, Amber, I know it's a God thing that I need. It's not something from me. It's a God thing. So I just look to God. I'm like, okay, God, you got to handle this. This is all you.
Yes.
This is all you. It truly is your battle. I'm going to show up how you tell me to show up, but it's your battle.
Come on, Yolanda Adams.
Hey,
the battle is not yours. It's the Lord's.
It really is. But it's like
I'm at church.
Yes, we say this. And it's like we say it, you listen to it, you've heard it in church, I don't know how many times.
Right.
But then living it is a completely different thing.
My God. Ooh, Lord. Go ahead, Steve. I'm all riled up. We going to church on Sunday? We going on Sunday?
Listen, whatever. You have my schedule.
Yep. I'm going to get We're going to go.
I don't know that the next question is on me, though.
It is. It's the balancing work family one.
Oh.
It's okay.
Sorry, we can cut this little part out. I feel like we kind of hit on that. Hold on a second. Let me just.
Oh, you know what it was? You asked it, and I didn't answer that part of it. You did ask about the balance. It's on me.
Okay.
The balance, though, I think, one, showing up authentically. Two, I think I had to learn how to not only accept, but be okay with acknowledging when people draw bright yellow lines for me, right? So it's like everybody wants to draw a bright yellow line for you. And then once you start acting like you see it, you're the problem. Because you're either for me or against me. And when we ignore those bright yellow lines that people draw, it's toxic for us, right? Because when you ignore those, you're not showing up for yourself. Because you're allowing somebody you end up tiptoeing around them, right? Because you're sharing a space or you're interacting and we're not being honest with each other about what this is.
There's a huge elephant in the room.
Yes. I said, you know what? In order for me to balance this, because it was like, there was so much controversy over my last election and even me winning, and then me showing up consistently the way I show up every day. I said, okay, I see the yellow line. I got it. But you're going to know I see it too. And I'm not going to pretend anymore because that's too much weight on you, right? Yeah. So when people show us who they are, we always say it, believe them, but we don't. And then it becomes a balancing act for you because you're still trying to interact with them in the same way. And so acknowledging those things and acting accordingly. And, even for me, expressing myself has helped me balance, right? So I'm not going to worry about how you want me to show up. Whatever hairstyle I want to wear, I'm going to do it. If that means shaving my sides, if that means wearing makeup and eyelashes, if that means having a fro that's coily, if that means tatting up, because when I tell you, I done went and got some tattoos. Faith 11:11, which is my birthday, but also Hebrews 11:11, which is one of my favorite Bible verses. I'm going to show up the way I want to because that helps me balance the weight of everything. So I think that, and then, working out. Absolutely. Prioritizing your health, because I realize that that's also a form of praise to God, is taking care of what God has given me.
Absolutely.
So, if that means I have to get to bed by 9:45 because I need to be at the gym before 5, because I also have to be at the office, but I don't want to sacrifice and put it off to the afternoon because then, everything happens. Exactly. Everything comes in the way. It's like, no, oh, dang on it, I forgot I had that meeting, So also for the balancing exercise, just self-care, as it relates to making sure that, I'm eating properly, that I am eating. Because, we can get busy and you are not, your protein intake is 0, right. You might get a swig of water. All those things.
Tired? I don't have any energy.
Why don't I have any energy?
You haven't given yourself fuel.
Right. Because we don't feel like we can press pause for a second.
Yeah.
That's we talk about that often, right? Just being able to actually take a break, right? You can't just you can't keep showing up. It's not sustainable. And I also hear self-care to repair what the world has done to us individually is that it's time consuming. It takes intention, right? It requires that you set boundaries. It requires that you communicate. It's a lot of different things that require a certain level of self-awareness and really self-worth, right? You have to value yourself and you to be able to show up in that way for yourself. But can you also talk about, because you can't only move about the world caring for yourself, right? You have a role that obviously is ingrained and entrenched in the community. Can you also talk about your community, right? Who are your pillars? How do you actually go beyond self, go beyond the community work that you do into your other support network to also kind of bring it all together? So I feel like you can't just be I'm at home working on me and then I show up, right? There has to be other pillars to that. Can you just talk about the interconnectedness of all of that and how some of your support network helps to make it all possible?
So, man, I have some really good friends. I really do, because, you have some friends that are your sunny friends. It's got to be a sunny day, And then you have your lifelong friends that whatever it is, y'all can talk through it, y'all can work through it, right? And so I would say it's my friends, it's my boyfriend. And it's them literally pouring into me, because I feel like you pour out and nobody pours in, right? So you have to have a group where there's this exchange. You're all pouring into each other.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think that goes a long way. And mine is a very small knit group. I think when you're younger, you think, oh, a lot of friends, everybody wants a lot of friends. The older you get, I think, and the more life challenges you face, it's those it's just that one
It's
or two.
Yeah, it's like
one or
two,
two people.
three.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's it for me, because they remind me, like they pour into me and they speak life into me, and they're like, you are so awesome. Like the fact that you were able to go today and do this, and this, and you impacted somebody's like, that was awesome. And I'm like, sometimes it was awesome. That was awesome. Thank you. Because I think we do become so like, it becomes so like natural for us to do what we do, that you forget, wow, but you did it in the supernatural.
Right.
You know? And then it's also, for me, them reminding me that it's okay to say no. You can't be everywhere and everything to everybody, and that's a difficult thing. I think the pandemic taught me, though. Like the pandemic gave me space to say no, right? That's one thing that was positive out of the pandemic for me, because all those speaking engagements got canceled, and I was like, wow, it feels so good to just breathe, And then they also remind me, and I'm actually writing a poem about this, oftentimes for us, wearing the cape turns into a hospital gown. And so some days I'm not going to put the cape on. Like,
Say it one more time.
Yeah, the cape turns into a hospital gown. We're out here saving everybody.
Ooh, Lord.
Right? And then you're so worn down.
Oh, my God.
So it's okay. Leave the cape in the closet. Take it to the dry cleaners. They can hold on to it for a second. When I get it back, I don't have to put it on.
Right.
I can put it in the closet. So I refuse. I'm not saving everybody. I can't. And I'm not wearing the cape every day.
Ooh,
And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because we pride ourselves on wearing the cape.
Yep. Oh, for sure.
You're going to save the day.
Every time.
Not this time.
Not today.
You will figure it out. Okay? I'm not the one. And I think we feel bad saying that, but I'm like, nope. That feels so good. It feels so good to say it. I'm not wearing the cape. Because if I don't wear it, you will figure it out. But if you're so reliant on me wearing the cape, you're never going to problem solve and figure it out for yourself.
Right.
Exactly.
You're actually doing it for them. Ooh, that's good. We talk, our whole audience is really professional Black women who are very, very driven, right? And a lot of us have some of those bad teachings, right? And beliefs and core beliefs that is like, we are what we do versus just being, right? And our identity is just in who we are created to be. Like God created us to be, like literally the BE is the juice versus the actual like things that we do. And I just think about like how much, especially as me through therapy, y'all know I talk about it all the time.
Therapy.
Kind of you got to disrupt and almost rewire your brain, because it actually does something for us. My therapist had to be real with me one day. I was like, whoa. Pause. She was like, you get something out of it. And there's a sense of pride that comes with actually doing, and someone saying, oh my God, I couldn't have done this without
How did you
you
do it? Oh, I would have never been able to do it. Yes, you would have.
Yes,
if I had let you do
Or
it.
it would have just not gotten done.
Right.
Yes, or it wouldn't have gotten done, and you
And
would have been all right.
Yeah,
You
that's
would've
what
been
you have
okay
to.
with it.
And that being okay with that weird feeling at first, but then like you said, now it feels good to be like, oh no, I'm not gonna wear the cape, right? Like it actually feels good. That's a transition to go all the way from I am what I produce for other people, I am what I do for other people, I save them, right? And I got a hospital gown on though, but I'm out here saving, and it's
That's
like all the way to. No, it feels good to say no, because I'm now choosing myself, and you get to figure it out for yourself, which then you get to help somebody else figure it out, because now you're figuring out your own boundaries, right?
Yeah, because they will see it's a hospital gown and still let you do it.
Oh,
absolutely.
They'd be like, she once upon a time had a cape on.
Why is it a different
It
color?
was completely different now, but you know what? She's fine because she hasn't said anything.
Nope.
So she
said
must
yes.
be good.
She must be good, right? You have to have your boundaries for yourself. Other people are not going to have them for you, right?
And it's the people closest to you that you think should have your best interest at mind that are like, well, it's making my life a little easier. So I'm just keep letting her do it.
Yeah.
I think for Black women specifically, like anxiety, right, is huge right now. Like it's and physical, like crippling anxiety. I think getting to that point before it starts to, before the hospital gown, it's like, how can more people get to that point where it's like, no, I'm not actually physically feeling something. I'm just fair enough to start to understand.
Yeah.
No, I feel body change, like blood pressure. Right, Kayla,
Listen.
you can literally feel your blood pressure rise.
Yeah,
people,
you
just to
sure
let you know. When you actually can feel it rise,
Yeah.
right? Like
When you're aware enough.
when you're aware enough,
Yep.
you start to get a little headache. Like certain things start to change. And
I
you're
was
like,
just aware, Sis. So she's referencing.
She's like poke, poke, poke.
I don't even know. Can
No,
we
this
go to jail for sharing this if I share it? Let me, okay.
I don't know. We're on the bench with the judge right now. So
You're right. But you know what? Statute of limitations. So
we 20 years in the game.
So y'all know Denise and I are line sisters. And 20 years ago,
20 years.
we were going through what I'll call a bonding experience.
Absolutely.
Look, women, what's the offense? I'll tell you if the statute of limitations is passed or not.
20, yeah. So it would be under hazing. Anyways, we were having a very interesting lunch, we'll call it, meal. And I physically, y'all, I promise you, I felt my blood pressure rising because it was a little bit salt content was a little, the sodium was up here.
In the
I
meal.
literally was like, big sister. Blood pressure. And so now my whole line makes fun of me because they're like, there's no way that you felt your blood pressure. But now look.
I truly think
as a grown
I think
adult
you can.
who actually has felt my blood pressure rise now,
No,
I trust you a little bit. We were like 18, 19.
Oh, I know.
I don't know if she was
Thinking that y'all can do anything because
Right.
We
prior
can
to
do
40,
anything.
you think
Girl,
you do anything.
You do.
listen. Oh my God, so sad. So yes, that's anytime we make that blood pressure joke. It's
Not you're crying. You didn't laugh so hard you crying.
Laughing, so that's real joy, okay? Real joy. Okay, what's the next?
whole point was being able to have the self-awareness and really working out things of that sort help you have the body awareness, right? The physical awareness to start to really understand like things are not going right with me.
Right.
And you have to start thinking about like, I think that when people think what's not going right with me right now in this instance, you think of new things that have entered, right? Like, well, what changed? Maybe it was, I'm not drinking my kombucha, but whatever. You think of new things, but we don't think of like the things that we always did or the things that like our family is, like other people are putting on us that we consider to be constants, right? So that was
And those
really
are the
kind of-
things.
and those are really
Those
probably
are
the
the
things
things.
that are
But that's
flattering up and causing the
the weird thing is though, until to me, I think sometimes for us to really appreciate it, you have to hit that bottom, right? So I think for me, I didn't realize that I needed that balance because I always joked about it. Everybody says, oh, work-life balance, what in the world is that, right? But I think it took that last election for me to say, you know what? I've always said this job is not going to age me. I am going to look good when I step off this bench. You know what I mean? I'm not going to look like the stories I've heard, right? Because there is a certain level of like PTSD that you experience in hearing this stuff every day, right? And so it took that election for me to say, you know what? I have to prioritize me because even though I'm going through this election, I still have to be on the campaign trail. I still have to show up every day. I'm doing everything that I'm doing plus, and so it wasn't until 2021 that I think I really took a look at like, okay, this isn't a joke anymore about work-life balance. Like I'm really gonna have to have something tangible that I do that helps me literally take the robe off. Right? Because you don't have to physically have it on to have it on because you are a judge everywhere you go, So even when you drive, like some people have judge plates. I would never have judge plates. I don't need you knowing
Like, here I am,
where I'm going, how I drive.
I'm just trying to go get some
Mind
bananas at the
your
grocery store.
business.
how I drive. It's giving.
How I drive. I lived in New York for so many years. I'm efficient, like always within the bounds of the law.
Wait,
but
I've driven with you. Actually, yes. No judge plates for you.
Yeah, I would not. It's like, so.
She said, know the law, master it.
right.
Therefore, you can.
Right, all those things.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I don't even know where we are.
I think one of the stereotypes is that Black women don't feel pain. We're strong. We can carry it all.
Yeah.
Carry it all. And obviously, what we were just talking about today is like
cape.
we are human. We can't carry it all.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about like some of those, like how that breaks down a little bit. Like how do we get people to start to actually acknowledge, right? People hear it. We're telling our stories. We are being more vocal.
Yeah.
But until, like, I'm in marketing, right? So your brand is essentially what other people think of you. It's not what you say about yourself, right? It starts with what you say, right? You have to tell your story.
Right.
But then the people who are consuming it, the other people around the community, society needs to actually buy that and then start regurgitating your story. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, for a Black woman, telling the story of, like, we're over the strong Black woman story, right? Or stereotype or whatever you want to call it. From your phase of life, right? Because you see a lot of different, you hear a lot of different stories. You're like really entrenched in the community aspect of it. How does that kind of play out from your angle?
I think we have to start believing it first ourselves. Like, I feel like we have to, as Black women, have to create a safe space for each other to have those conversations. Because, you know, here's my take on the election right now, right? Like, everybody can see what Kamala is experiencing. Everybody can see it, right? But you have a Kamala in your everyday life. And I bet you cannot see it. You don't identify with it. You are not out here, you know, creating a safe space for her to be honest about what she's experiencing. You're not essentially being a billboard for her. She's just doing, right? Until we can do that for each other, how do we expect somebody else to do it for us? So it's like, we're out here, yes, Kamala, she's my soror, right? But I want us to acknowledge that Kamala in our everyday life. Do the same thing that you're doing for a stranger that you may never meet. You may never meet her, but you literally are thinking about her every day right now. You are praying for her. You are, you know, you're supporting her. You're doing things. You're making phone calls. You're making sure your friends and family are registered to vote. You're doing all the things for her, and you may never meet her. So now, fam, what are we doing with the Kamala that we know? You know her name. You've been in a room with her. You've seen her on the local news, right? You see what's happening to her. What are you going to do for her, right? And it's not really like for her, but it's like, gosh, look at what you're doing for a stranger, right? So that's my thing. I would say we have to create a for real space. You know, because we could just like kiki it like, oh, girl, yes, you know, Black girl power, Black girl this. No. For real. Where's the space where we make it okay for us to say, I'm putting the cape down for real, sis, right? Because right now we don't have that space. But I'm hoping that the movement that we're seeing with Kamala, we'll start treating each other the way we're treating her, the way we want her to be treated. Because, you know, when they said, she's not Black, she just turned Black, we were all like, what? But you have heard or seen somebody in the C-suites. You've heard or seen somebody at the polls being torn down, and you'd said absolutely nothing, right? We have to do it for each other. You know?
And for ourselves. I think it's yourselves and each other.
Bravery and courage, for real, for real, for real. So we are creating that safe space. It's called the Betterness Society.
I love that. I love that.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook, join the Facebook group. There's more to come. We're so excited about all the things that it will become. And we're going to let it become whatever it's going to become. That's what the beauty of a community is, right? But it is designed to literally be that safe space and help us get what we need. But I love what you're saying. It's like, okay, from this, if you're listening, who is that Kamala? Who are the Kamalas, right, in your life that you are showing up for the, you know, Madam Vice President, but what does it look like to show up for the ones in your life? I think that's your homework if you're listening to this. Identify the Kamalas in your life, for sure. All right, last question. I think,
Yeah.
So, any advice? This is like one of your passions as well, right? Because you're so amazing when it comes to youth and making sure young people are engaged, whether that's education, getting engaged into the civic process, all the things. But just in general, like to a younger you or just any young person that aspires shoot, to us, like the other Black women out here who are aspiring, to maybe take on some of these high pressure, high visible roles. Are there any kind of tips or tricks and just really overall advice that you would have for Black women who are looking into and maybe hesitant about it because they're like, I don't know. And I know you talked about God being like, you gonna yell if you don't.
Yes, if you don't move,
Exactly.
It will make you move.
Exactly. But any advice for women who are kind of on the fence, maybe even, or just needs that inspiration?
This is gonna sound odd, but I would say to anyone that is aspiring to climb whatever ladder, like you said earlier, just have your moral compass in your pocket. Make sure it's well tuned. And I think for me, that has carried me a long way, because if it's situational for you, then you can be bought, right? If it's situational for you, then, you don't really you don't stand for anything, so you'll fall for everything, And that makes it more difficult as you're climbing, right? Because you want to go north, you want to go up. So having that well-tuned moral compass is going to always guide you in the direction you should be going. And I think, to me, that's so important, because there'll be moments where you can't pick up the phone and call a girlfriend to get the advice, or the go get him, right?
Right.
And just having that ingrained in your spirit, I think goes a long way.
That's huge. I think that's so good. Moral compass. Because then, that's your core. You know what I mean? You always go back to your core. We talk about, what is your why, right? In so many different aspects when you're starting a business or when you're doing anything, really, is what's your why? What's your North Star? But that core is it, because everything else is going to be changing around you. Tornadoes, legit.
Yes.
But then if you are in the center, grounded, no matter what, it creates this amazing record, reputation, career, and I think that's exactly what you're achieving and have achieved.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. Okay. Let's do rapid fire, and then we're gonna wrap up. Okay. Let's start with, what is your biggest pet peeve? You know what it is. I saw it as soon as
Let me find my second one.
You gotta tell us the real.
My biggest pet peeve is people forcing me to have the conversations that shouldn't have to be had. If you know what it is, why do we have to talk about it? Just do it. You already know that it needs to be done. So that's a pet peeve of mine, because I don't want to tell you that it has to be done, because that's a pet peeve.
Got it. Hey y'all, hey, if you are seeing this video, that means that technology failed us. Unfortunately, we were not able to close out the episode with the amazing good sis, Judge Amber Givens. However, I'm here to fill you in on all of the places that you can find her on social and the interwebs, and how to make sure to check out our next episode of the Good, Better, Betterness podcast. So make sure to check out Judge Amber Givens at Judge Amber Givens on social and judgeambergivens.com. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment this video, and share it with someone who may need a little bit of encouragement. We'll see you in the next one on Good, Better, Betterness podcast. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Hey sis, we thank you for honoring yourself by taking the time to listen to the Good, Better, Betterness podcast. Thank you for joining us on the journey to betterness.